Hello students, welcome to Conceptual Chemistry Lectures of O Level series. Lecture number 1 will be on kinetic particle theory of GCE O Levels. This unit will be covered within few lectures. Let's begin kinetic particle theory. But before starting kinetic particle theory, let's dissect this term kinetic particle theory. So kinetic means movement, whereas particles means units or small entities, and theory is a statement. So basically it's a theory of small particles moving. If we understand how these particles move and how these particles are actually arranged, so we have essentially understood the entire topic of KPT, which is kinetic particle theory. Before starting kinetic particle theory, let's have a quick overview of matter and its states, because long time ago, before the advancement of scientific studies, only matter was defined with its three basic states. So matter was defined as anything which has a mass and occupies space is called as a matter, whereas its three states were defined as solid, gas and liquid. So these three classes were defined very simply, which were based on their basic properties. So anything that has a fixed volume, which has a fixed shape, and it cannot be compressed, it can't flow, is called as a solid. Solid will always be possessing a fixed volume, it cannot be squashed, it cannot be compressed, whereas liquid will not be rigid, it will always be having a fixed volume, but it does not have a fixed shape because it will always attain the shape of a container, is called as a liquid. And the third state of matter is gas. Gas is not rigid, it has no fixed shape, it has no fixed volume, its particles are away from each other, and it can be squashed, it can be compressed, is called as a gas. So these were three distinctive properties which were defined or explained very simply. But then along with this came a revolution and advancement in scientific studies, and there came kinetic particle theory. And kinetic particle theory have said that matter is composed of even more smaller particles. It's composed of more smaller particles, and all those smaller particles are responsible for the chemical properties of a particular substance. Later on, these atoms were termed as atoms. These particles were termed as atoms by a Greek philosopher whose name was Democritus. He has originated this word from word atmos, which means indivisible. Atoms are indivisible, we all know that. It's very fundamental, it's very basic. So all the particles come together and arrange themselves in a particular manner, which gives them a particular and distinctive state. If we take the example of H2O, which is water molecule, so water can be found in three of these states. It can be found as a liquid at the room temperature. It can be found as a solid at the room temperature in the form of ice cube. It can be found as a gas at the room temperature in the form of water vapor. So now question comes at how particles of water molecule are arranged and which kind of movement is present in the particles. Why water is found in all these three kinds of states. So kinetic particle theory is basically the answer to all these questions. It provides very solid and very authentic answers to all these questions. So kinetic particle theory says that all the matter is made up of tiny particles which are in a constant random motion, and this motion is in all the direction, it is random, and it will produce collision, which is responsible for further chemical reactions. Particles are discrete. According to KPT, the particles, the smaller or the tiniest particles will always be discrete. We can't see them because they're very tiny. We can't see them by our naked eye. They're microscopic. There is space present in between particles of matter, and that space is different in each of the states, and the speed and the movement of particle is also different in each of the state. It also defines all the states of matters with all macroscopic and microscopic properties. It tells us about the changes in the states of matter and interconversion of states of matter. Thank you.